and I thought I would show you my finished AR10, quote unquote finished, but anyways. So it's built off of Aero Precision's M5 pattern, upper and lower. It's got a 20-inch heavy barrel from Ballistic Advantage, their modern series, chambered in 308, of course. Toolcraft nitrided 308 bulk carrier group, just the single ejector. I've got my Romeo 5 there on it. I painted the selector switch positions there myself, shoddily, but it got the job done. Strike Industries Viper, I want to say, modular fixed carbine stock. So this is a carbine buffer tube under there. I'm running a flat wire spring, also from Strike Industries. At the moment, I have a 5.6 ounce buffer from Kaw Valley Precision, I think it is. I'm still trying to work that out. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. But my lower parts kit is all Aero, aside from my trigger group, which is a Rise Armaments RA140, just the single stage. That also might be something we might talk about here in a minute. But for my accessories, I've just got some cheap, no-name fucking flip-up front sight, flashlight, and vertical grip. My flash hider here is an extended 30 cal flash hider from Daniel Defense. Is there anything else really worth? Oh, I have a Strike Industries extended handle, well, charging handle here. I'm trying to think of anything else, but I'm not coming up with anything. Oh, I don't have any here. Oh, my forend. Okay, so we'll start with that. This is a Midwest Industries. I don't remember. I think it's just SS series. Handguard there. Right, my magazines. I was gonna say I don't have one here right now, like in the rifle. They're in my ammo can across the room. But for magazines, I've been running Elander 20-round steel magazines. So in case that becomes relevant to what we're going to talk about here in a moment, so you know, that's what I've got. That's pretty much it. Okay, so this rifle I have not had for terribly long. Maybe a month and a half, 2 months, if that. I've taken it to the range several times actually during that time period. And the first time I went out, I actually had a 3.8 ounce buffer in there. And I'm going to mention that in my bulk carrier group, sorry, my extractor, I had one of the little rubber donut things on the extractor spring. So in that configuration, one extractor donut and a 3.8 ounce buffer. I would say it was 1 in 100 malfunction wise, which is not great. Really not great, but it's an AR10. Like, that's sort of something that they're known for. So I was expecting it to be like a project rifle. So I swapped out the buffer 3.8 ounce to 5.6, and I took out the extractor donut. So no rubber donuts on the extractor and a 5.6 ounce buffer. And that malfunctioned about every other round. So that was last time. I still haven't cleaned it yet. I'm about to do that as soon as I'm done making this video. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean it. And I'm going to put one of those rubber donuts back on the extractor. I'm going to leave the 5.6 ounce buffer in. And I'm going to go back to the range and shoot this thing again and see if that doesn't change things. Oh, if it's worth mentioning, I'm just using off-the-shelf M80 ball. At first, it was Winchester service grade, and I've since delved into my my stock of MagTech M80 ball. But Um, let's see, what else was I gonna? Oh, right. So the types of malfunctions, I should mention. The first time I went out, I shot about 200 rounds. I said 1 in 100. That's pretty much dead on. So I had two malfunctions. One was a light primer strike, which I'm not sure what happened there. That's why I mentioned my trigger group. Um, it could have been a light strike just because like the tension in the hammer spring is not that great. Uh, the thing with these RA140 triggers from Rise Armaments, um, they seem to be fairly popular despite being known as maybe not the best. I'm not going to come out and conclusively say like that caused it for sure, but I don't know that I can rule it out. Another suspicion I have is that my bulk carrier group, or yeah, my bulk carrier group, sorry, maybe wasn't 100% of the way forward. It definitely looked like it was, but I don't know. I get this sneaking suspicion that sometimes I'm not always 100% in battery, um, which is concerning. I haven't necessarily seen anything that is like giving me reason to think that, but sometimes just like a fire shot and as it cycles, something feels kind of funny. And at first, I was like scared of squibs or something, so I was like looking for that, but it wasn't squibs or anything. And this is just factory ammo, it's not reloads. So I don't know. I don't know about that. One thing to note, I'm not going to open it right now because I actually don't have a buffer detent in this thing, and I did that on purpose. So if I open it one-handed, I'm just going to... it's going to be a jack in the box from hell situation, and I just don't want to do that right now. But yeah, the bulk carrier group, I noticed the like back end of the like forward portion has been hitting against like right in here where this sort of loop is that the buffer tube attaches to the lower receiver. It was hitting there and leaving marks, which I already knew to look for that. So I checked after the first time I fired it and I noticed those and I put a couple quarters down in my buffer tube. I know it's a bit, uh, how do we want to say, half-assed, but I mean, I don't want my bulk carrier group smacking the shit out of my fucking lower receiver all the time. So that's what I did. We're gonna see if I put enough quarters in. I don't know yet. Maybe I should just get like a legit spacer or something. But um, let's see. Okay, so the other malfunction that first day was a stovepipe. The front end of the spent brass was poking out of the ejection port at an angle. Um, you know what a stovepipe is. I probably don't need to explain it to you if you're the type to be watching this video in the first place. So there was that. So those two malfunctions, I decided take out an extractor donut, put in a heavier buffer. That made things considerably worse. I went from 1 in 100 to 1 in 2, 1 in 1. Terrible malfunction rate. Um, Almost every single one of them was a failure to eject, I want to say, because what would happen is that like I would look into the rifle and the bolt would be most of the way back and there would be a live cartridge trying to go into the chamber but being blocked because the front end of the spent brass was above it and still like the face of it was rammed into the chamber when the rifle cycled back forward. So like the the front lip of the cases where the bullet would have been was getting like smashed and dented from the bolt carrier group just slamming it into the chamber, which was not ideal. And this was happening with like every other shot. So I assume I need to put at least one of those extractor donuts back in. I might need to use two. And then I'm going to have to check, do I stick with the 5.6 ounce buffer? Which I mean, most AR10s are overgassed, like severely. I don't know if mine is. I'm still trying to figure that out with the whole extractor donut situation. Like it's hard to say what is causing what. I'd really like to nail down one of these two variables and then play with the other one and just get the right balance. Um, I don't think any of this is a problem with Aero's M5 receivers or, any of their other like internal parts I'm using, because of course like the magazine catch is probably got nothing to do with this or the safety or anything like that. Um, I seriously think that I probably should have just left the extractor donuts alone because the bolt came with both of them on the spring. Um, and I probably should have gone with a heavy buffer in the first place. But the one thing that I will say is like not my fault for sure is the bolt carrier group smacking into the back of the lower receiver there. Um, I'm gonna see if the quarters fix that. We'll see. I guess I'll do an update after I get back from the range. Um, oh right, that was the one thing I forgot to mention. My buffer tube is an enhanced one from Patriot Ordnance Factory, I want to say. So it's got like the kind of tapered off bit at the bottom that goes over the threads in the lower receiver. Um, yeah, all kinds of nice stuff. But anyways. Oh, also I do not have an adjustable gas block, so there is that. I won't be I won't be fiddling with that variable. I know like everybody says just get one. I don't know. I'll look into it, I guess. I guess I just kind of assumed they were expensive and decided I wasn't gonna fuck with it. But if I can't get it running at least halfway reliably without that, then I am eventually going to have to resort to that. But I would like not to because I have a nice pinned low profile gas block that came with the barrel from Ballistic Advantage, so sorry. But anyways, yeah, that's my experience with my like Franken rifle based on the M5 pattern. If you have any tips, let me know. I'm still kind of an amateur hobbyist, I guess. This is obviously my first AR10. I have had an AR15 before, but it ran just fine out of the box, which is funny because it's an Anderson lower and a PSA rifle kit. So, I guess I lucked out on that one. This one has some actually kind of Gucci parts, but um, still, the AR10 did not benefit from decades of research and development and field trials that the AR-15 got from being adopted into a shitload of world militaries and police departments and other agencies. So I expected this. I knew that I was getting into a platform that didn't quite have the same record that like a FAL or a G3 does. But I mean, the AR platform in general, like stoner rifles overall, are just something I care about. I just like them. So even though I was expecting to have some issues to work out, I mean, that's part of the fun for me. I like building and modifying, kind of even more than I like shooting, to be honest. So let's see if I can't get this fucking this garbage rod to start working. I shouldn't call it that. It's actually kind of nice if I could just, tune my extractor properly and figure out what buffer I want to use. But anyways, I guess you'll get a later video when I've figured some shit out. Bye.